What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Marty coming to you with another video. Here to talk about Jordan Peele's highly anticipated third movie of his career, Nope. But before we get into that, if y'all could please leave a like and subscribe, that means an awful lot to me. Thank you guys. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Now let's dive right in. Now, Nope is Jordan Peele's third movie, and I saw this a couple days ago, and I had to let it sink in with me. I had to think about it for a couple days before I made my review, and here we are. There are a couple messages in this movie, but the one that I took the most to heart is his message on animals. First, this movie is about a brother and his sister, and the brother being Daniel Kaluuya. I'm not sure his name, but he starred in Jordan Peele's first movie, Get Out, and he also starred in Black Panther. And also Keke Palmer, who we know from Disney, and she's just so electric in this movie. But it just reflects on her personality in real life. She's just a performer. They lose their father, Keith David, in the very beginning of the movie. The story that they got was there were like airplane parts that fell from the sky and killed him. But it just isn't adding up, and more things start occurring to make them believe that it is not airplane parts falling from the sky. Their family runs a Hollywood horse stable barn thing. So that means if there is a Hollywood motion picture and they need horses in that movie, they contact this family. Once they lose their father, obviously they're losing money in their business, and OJ, who is played by Daniel, is trying everything in his power to continue this business. And so he starts selling horses to like a nearby attraction stable barn kind of thing run by Jupe, which is Steven, easily known from The Walking Dead, to try to keep things afloat and try to have a business relationship with him. But Jupe is using these horses for something very horrific. We get a little backstory in the beginning of the movie. There's a scene happening, but the screen I think is still having credits at this point, and so all you're doing is just hearing what's going on. You hear that there is like a TV show, like a 80s or 90s TV show, and it involves a monkey. There's 3 scenes of this monkey in this movie. In the other scene, we see young Jupe because he starred in this TV show. He's there with a sister or a sister figure, and they both give this monkey presents because the title of this show is called Gordy's Birthday. And little Jupe is sad because his gift was smaller than the sister's. And then the camera pans out and you see balloons, and the balloons float up to the ceiling and they pop, and then the screen turns black, and then you kind of hear the monkey lose it. And then the last scene is the scene where it was really thrilling, really suspenseful. Like, Jordan Peele knows how to direct scenes that are so intense and paced well, and you keep thinking that there's going to be a jump scare. I was on the edge of my seat for this one. It cuts backstage, and then it goes in towards the live audience, and you can see the live audience is not there. And then it pans to the set. You see feet on the ground, and you kind of hear like thumping. You hear kind of squishing, and then you find out that Gordy is actually hitting the younger girl, or it's not hitting, but smashing her, because you see both of his hands raise up above and just lay it on her, and you hear it. Like, that's one thing that I loved about this movie. I saw this in a standard screening, so I really wish that I saw this in IMAX, because the sound effects, the sound editing in this movie are truly like amazing. You hear the thumping, you hear the squishing, and when it comes to the little saucer that's obviously shown in trailers, which I'll get to right now, it just sounds so creepy, so badass, and so loud. I feel like it definitely would enhance my experience if I had seen it in IMAX. But back to the scene. And then you see Jupe under a table, and between Jupe and like Gordy, where he's at, there's tablecloth. And at this point, Gordy is just covered with blood. He has blood over his mouth, chest, arms, everything. Gordy senses there's someone there. He probably thinks it's Jupe, because he puts his like fist out, and so his fist goes over the tablecloth, slowly, and Jupe raises it too. But right before they fist bump, Gordy gets shot. It was just a gruesome scene. It was awesome. It was thrilling. It kept me on the edge of my seat. And there's a couple other scenes like that throughout this movie that are just perfect. Another scene that has that intensity is when OJ is in the stable. He hears noises, he hears the horses. Everything is okay, but he turns off like the lights and turns off the sprinklers. And so he's walking out, and as he's walking out, the lights turn off. And then he looks around and he sees a figure. I'm kind of just getting chills right now, just thinking about it. There's a figure standing in front of the light switch, and it just builds up the intensity. Well, Jordan Peele, sorry, builds up the intensity, and he's just staring at it for a while. There's kind of like a door right there next to it, and so as you see one figure, another figure just pops up, and so there's two of them, and then he's like, nope, nope. It's kind of funny too. I feel like there should be a game where you should like take a shot whenever nope is heard in the movie, but that's besides the point. OJ's walking backwards, and he gets around a corner, and then he's looking at that corner because you kind of see the head of that figure rolling up, but then it stops behind the corner, and it's behind it for a while, and then it slowly kind of starts going so we can see the head of it. But then another one pops up right in front, which was a jump scare, and OJ ends up punching it, and it ends up being kids dressed up as aliens. So there were kids all along. I was frightened. I was on the edge of my seat. I was getting chills throughout this scene, and at the end of the scene, it was kids. And so the reason why these kids pranked OJ and his barn is because a little bit earlier, his sister Emerald, played by Kiki, she went to Jupe's barn and stole a fake horse. And so because they knew it was them, the kids, they went to go play a prank on them. And it was a pretty harsh and amazing prank. The first and main encounter of the saucer, OJ goes out at night because the horses keep running off. And it's just like chilling him. Like he hears something, you hear a scream. And going forward, when there's a scream out in the mountains, that's when the saucer is around. And so there's screams, and he's obviously looking for his horses, and he's just looking around, and it's nighttime. And you can hardly see. That's kind of a little pet peeve that I have. Whenever it was night, like fully night, you can kind of barely see. But obviously I was able to see enough. And OJ's just looking around, and you start seeing something move in the clouds, and obviously you find out that it's the saucer. But just the way it goes about it, he's just staring, he's looking up, looking around, like what is going on. They weren't able to catch it on film, but it ends up taking that fake horse. They saw it, they witnessed it, Emerald and OJ, and it was, like I said, a pretty intense scene. As I mentioned, to me, the story is about animals. And so, let me explain after this scene. So something's going on. OJ and Emerald seek out help from, I believe the store is called Fry's, but if I'm wrong, it's basically like a Best Buy. They seek out to get cameras because something's going on, They get the help from that guy. And while they're setting up, Jupe comes and he invites them to a show. And so we cut back to like the main scene. We see Jupe there in front of a crowd, and he's telling them that he's been feeding this alien species for 6 months. And you find out that obviously there's something there in the clouds, and he points at it. And at this point too, OJ already figured out that there's a cloud in the sky that does not move at all. And so Jupe is saying that he's been feeding, sacrificing these horses for the past 6 months. He says that the saucer, the aliens, whatever, come in at a certain time, but then he sees it in the sky move. And so he's like, whoa, like that's, they're ahead of time. But, when they're ready, we're ready. So let's get on with the show. So then he unveils the horse that was right there in its cage, and they kind of get back. And, obviously he's waiting for it to be taken. But the saucer, the way it moves up in the sky, like it's so smooth and it's cool. The sound effects is amazing. It comes down, but it doesn't take the horse. It ends up taking everyone. We cut back to OJ, and he's actually on his way to Jupe's little attraction place. I think it's called Jupiter's Ascending, if I'm not mistaken. But y'all let me know. We catch up with OJ. He goes over there. He sees that the place is destroyed, so he ends up leaving. And then as he's coming back, the saucer actually gets there and is right above him. Right above him. And so he's like, nope, nope, nah. He kind of like senses of what now to do, because obviously he's kind of an expert at handling these horses. And so he uses that same tools with the saucer. So he's not looking at it. He's just looking down, and miraculously he gets left alone. But not before the fake horse that it took, it ends up smashing in his car window. And then after that, the saucer goes to the house where Emerald and that Fry's employee guy is. The saucer like basically throws up, or it's digesting or whatever. I would say threw up, because it threw up the horse, right? So it throws up the humans, but it's just blood. So you just see the windows covered in blood. And I just thought it was a cool callback to The Shining. And it was so chilling for sure. And then at the end of the movie, like I said, Emerald wants to get the shot, so they hire some person that works on movies who's like a really good director or cinematographer or whatever. Like, he's good at what he does. They call him. He had rejected the offer to come help and try to capture this thing on film. But after that tragic incident where the saucer aliens took Jupiter's Ascending, it made news. And so the director actually sees it on the news and remembers that's where Emerald had mentioned they were from. And then he ends up going. I kind of think he was a throwaway character. He was still good. I loved his voice. And if you've seen the movie, I mean, you'll know what I'm talking about. He has like the most perfect deep voice. Yeah, he ends up dying because as they're trying to capture it on film, spoiler alert. Oh yeah, I'm sorry people, this is a spoiler review. I know, all late. He's trying to capture it, and I think he does capture like a perfect shot, but because he's so like in awe, like, oh my god, is this really happening? He wants to get an even better shot. And so he ends up leaving the little fort, and then he basically is right up in the view of the saucer, and then he gets taken up. And then we actually find out that saucer is actually like a monster. It ends up transforming into like a big jellyfish. And so, as I mentioned that this is about animals, there were some sprinkled hints about what it was. Like at the beginning of the movie, when we're kind of finding out more about what OJ's doing, and then the introduction of Emerald, they get hired, and then one of these people who don't understand animals, they put a mirror in front of the horse, and then the horse acts up and kicks like a platter that someone was holding, so it loses it. After that, we get a flashback of Keith David, OJ's father, and he says, some animals ain't meant for showbiz. Something like that along those lines. And then obviously with the hints, the story surrounding Jupe and his history with Gordy's birthday episode, he's an animal. Like, people are trying to profit off these animals and / training animals, because obviously at the end of the day, an animal is an animal. Yes, you can train it all you want, but if something happens, like in that scene, it was the balloons popping, and with the saucer aliens, jellyfish now, it ate something bad. It ate that fake horse. So they're like a light switch. Something's gonna happen at any given second. Something can happen. That's just how I see it. And once I understood that, like, it just clicked. And I seen some reviews where they said that the monkey scene, it shouldn't have been added, because if you remove it, it wouldn't have made a difference. But I honestly feel that you need those scenes there, because without those scenes, there is no story. That's the backstory, that's a backstory of one character, because as he was profiting and as he was in that show and he was understanding that animal, he grew up to be basically the opposite. You know, he thought he was training this saucer, thought he had it in control, and he was gonna profit off this. And what happened? That jellyfish ate something bad, not from him, but you know, from OJ, and Jupe ended up being eaten because of it. So that's just the meaning that I got from it. And like I said, the monkeys just made it. The whole Gordy scene made it very clear to me. It's a really amazing story, and I hope people can go watch this movie and like have their own opinion. A couple other people that I've seen just didn't like it, and they didn't provide any facts. So I'm just gonna assume that they didn't understand it. It's a really great movie if you can find these underlying messages, especially the one with the animal. And you know, I highly encourage this movie to be watched and this movie to be seen like in an IMAX theater. And at the ending, everyone survived. Well, the main characters survived. OJ, Emerald, and the Fry employee. It was a cool action sequence to like get it into a certain place so that the Fry employee and the director that died, that got eaten, to get it in a shot. Emerald was able to take it to Jupe's Ascending, and there's a big float there that was placed in that area, and so Emerald was able to like to cut the cords off, and it flew up in the air. And so then the jellyfish, he's kind of hesitant to eat it or not. It doesn't know. There is an eye, so maybe it was looking at that fake eye because it was open, and it's hesitating, and then basically it does end up swallowing it. But as we know, it's bad. So we see the jellyfish fly away, and then it pops. Emerald was able to capture a picture from the little whale that they have in Jupe's Ascending. I love this movie. If you guys can watch this, I highly recommend you guys do. You know, keep an open mind. It's just really amazing. I cannot stress this enough. So I'm going to give this, I want to say a 9 out of 10. I think I prefer this just a little bit over Us. And actually before this movie, I watched Us like maybe a day or two before, because I really love all of Jordan Peele's movies. I love all the underlying messages that he has in them. And just the actors that he has in these movies, they all give outstanding performances. And I truly do love him. I can't wait to see what he does next. But that is it, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed my review, my little recap. I wasn't trying to go for a recap, but I feel like there was so much to talk about for me to like fully get to the message of this movie. And so I hope y'all enjoyed it. If y'all are so confused, you know, please reach out. I'm down to talk about this. If you guys see it, what did you guys think about it? If you haven't seen it, then I hope you guys go out and watch it, have your own opinion. And thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys, my over 200 subscribers. I mean, that's truly amazing. It's truly amazing, sorry, and it's a blessing. Thank you. I'm humbled. Sorry, I can't even talk now. Please leave a like and subscribe for your boy. That would mean a lot to me. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.